From rock stars to racing, these photographs make up a portfolio that would make any photographer envious. Bob Jackson took all these photos. But every November 22nd, the anniversary of the JFK assassination, Bob reflects on his most iconic shot, the shot that changed America and the shot that ended up on everyone's doorstep nearly 58 years ago.
Friday morning, 11:37.
It was a beautiful Friday afternoon to land in Dallas. John F. Kennedy, with his wife Jacqueline, all smiles, greeting thousands of Texans. An enthusiastic welcome for the first president to speak in Dallas in more than a decade. A parade for the first family. November 22nd, 1963, started out like romantic Americana, a dream drive down Maine, that quickly turned into a nightmare on Elm Street.
It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route. There's numerous people running up the hill alongside Elm Street, there by the Simmons Freeway.
Fast forward nearly 60 years.
I'll look through this viewfinder.
And Bob Jackson still feels the remnants of that day.
That's kind of creepy.
Bob was a photographer for the Dallas Times-Herald on 11/22/63.
It didn't soak in till days later how important this whole thing was.
In fact, Bob wasn't just at Love Field that morning. Bob was also in President Kennedy's motorcade.
And so my assignment was to photograph what I could along the parade route, which was about 5 miles.
Bob was 8 cars behind the president. Bob was instructed to unload his camera and toss his film to a reporter at the corner of Main and Houston. That's the moment Bob heard shots not coming from any camera.
And as we got around the corner, we heard a shot, the first shot. Then a pause, and then 2 more closer together.
What was going through your mind in that moment?
Somebody shooting at the motorcade at the president.
Seconds later, Bob looked up at the now infamous Texas School Book Depository. One of just 4 people who testified in front of the Warren Commission, they saw a rifle sticking out the 6th floor window.
And I just looked up, and there was a rifle resting on the ledge in the 6th floor.
You saw it,
I saw it.
and you're out of film.
And I have an empty camera.
Although plenty of photos would soon surface of Kennedy's killer, no one snapped a photo of Lee Harvey Oswald in the act. But Bob did get the shot of Oswald, his most infamous image, not on November 22nd, but 2 days later.
So now it's Sunday,
And
and they're bringing out Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah. Saturday night, I got the assignment. I remember thinking, hey, I'm going to have the first crack at this guy, you know. I'll have a chance to get a picture of him. What if he never gets to the other end of town? Because there'd already been threats. I see him coming, and then all of a sudden, somebody's stepping out from my right, blocking my view. Quickly. I mean, this was quick. And so I was, somebody's getting in my way. Well, Ruby fired, and I fired, and timing was good. I just punched the button.
He punched a button that won you a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner, is the man stepping in and shooting Oswald. Bob, the only photographer to snap his shutter at the exact moment Ruby's gun is fired.
I'm sure you had a good feeling you had a good shot, but you go to the dark room, you develop it, and describe what happens in the dark room when you see that shot for the first time.
I let out a yell to my chief photographer who was standing outside the door. Until the gun went off, I wasn't sure why the guy was stepping out, but he only took 2 or 3 steps.
How remarkable is it that they would escort him outside in public like that?
Well, of course, remember, this is the basement of the police station. It was a safe environment, to protect him if they got him in a car or the armored van or whatever.
So if it was safe, how was Jack Ruby able to walk up there and shoot
Jack
him?
Ruby knew all the police. He loved to hang out at the police station.
Holding Oswald's belt buckle and handcuffed to him as he's being shot is Dallas detective Jim Lavelle. Lavelle knew Ruby well and later became friends with Bob. Lavelle later shared with Bob why he believed Ruby killed Oswald.
And he said to Lavelle, he said, I just admire you guys so much He said, one day I want to do something. When you have a problem, I want to come to your rescue, but I want to be a hero.
It's very possible, in a way, he was trying to do some vigilante justice.
Yep.
Oswald died 2 hours later at the same hospital of which Kennedy was pronounced dead 2 days previous. Ruby would die in 1967 from a blood clot complicated by cancer before he could even be tried for murder.
Do you believe in any conspiracy theories when it comes to who assassinated JFK and Jack Ruby killing Lee Harvey Oswald?
No, I don't. In the beginning, people would ask me that, and I would say, well, I have an open mind, but Oswald acted alone.
Bob, when you see that now, 58 years later, what goes through your mind now?
Well, I'm just glad I was the one that shot it. Every photographer would like to shoot an image that has meaning. I hated to see it happen in Dallas, but I was glad that I was able to cover a moment in history and time.
Bob said that winning a Pulitzer didn't change his life, but he did joke that it made it easier to get a job with benefits, one being the Gazette here in town, from which he retired back in the 90s. Bob has lived in southern Colorado since 1980. He's been happily retired for the past 22 years. In studio, Josh Elmuth, KRDO News Channel 13.